Hello everyone, this is Verde and here I am with yet another Rule of X video. Today we got some new things. For instance, well, the economy got reworked a little bit. Now it takes a little longer for the game to actually start to be frenetic. And if you, I also implemented a feature when you press spacebar, your camera relocates to the nearest upgrade. That helps with, well, when you have too many upgrades in order to grab them all, you will take so long. And now with spacebar feature, you take less. Yes. And sooner rather than later, oh yeah, I also did some turret optimizations. Like for instance, when the turret is within their recoil, they do not seek a target. Yeah, that changes some things because that mostly doesn't do that many bad things, but mostly it is faster now when it isn't, when your attack speed isn't that high. You don't have to actually look for targets every tick like they used to. And also, yeah, the turrets, when they don't find a target, they sleep for a third of a second before trying again, instead of trying again next tick. It's mostly because finding a target is a big effort if you have too many targets in the screen. We'll try to implement between this video and the next one some feature that, some optimization feature that makes it so that the turret does not actually check again every specific amount of time, but instead there is a global checker which runs for every enemy and wakes up the necessary turrets instead of simply basically I'll have a list of turrets that need to be checked, and I will check them as they go to sleep, basically, because the number of enemies is usually bigger than the number of turrets. You see here we have 84 enemies and less than 84 turrets. I don't know exactly how many turrets we have. What else? Oh yeah, selling structures now have an animation. Like for instance, if I were to sell this, now they sell properly, and the animation time is based on building downtime. So if you would have more levels of attack speed, you will sell your stuff faster. That was something in order to try to make it a little bit better in terms of, damn, I forgot the word. Make it a little bit better in terms of, make this a little bit better, basically, because I saw most playtesters were actually skipping stronger gears whenever they could. So that's a reason why. Another strategy that was common among the playtesters, I've seen that they liked to sell a big part of their base when they lacked the money. Like they built like this in a way that if they wanted to, they could sell a big chunk of their base and get some immediate money, which is honestly a good strategy. You can move that way. And since I have made the design decision that the plains will not be a safe place in the late game, Basically, the planes will start in a tranquil manner. The enemies in the planes will be okay-ish to fight when the earlier, but later as the game progresses, the planes will start becoming a very dire place because the late enemies of the planes will be stronger than usual. Mostly because I want the player to find a place to relocate, build their base there, and then play there. Instead of simply playing where they spawn, I do think that leads to a more interesting gameplay cycle. You find a place where you want to live in and go there instead of simply living with your parents. Okay, that was not ideal. Living with your parents like I did for most of my life. But anyway, that is basically I want to make your parents more hostile towards you as long the longer you live with them, just like real life. I don't know, maybe you have good parents, I don't. I kinda do, but still, the environment gets more hostile with time. And there's that. And now it escalated into family drama here, didn't it? Anyway, here I am. What did happen here? I don't remember. Oh yeah, I sold the building. I was thinking I don't remember selling buildings there. Oh yeah, I did. You can see now that this was a bad idea. Can we retake this real quick? That second branch there was a bad idea. I'm trying to optimize for King of the Hill, but I don't have actually King of the Hill. And you'll see the rocks are less common due to the new changes in economy. That's on purpose actually. Mostly because if you ended up having every upgrade in every run, well, the run diversity would be something inexistent. Get it? Run diversity is what keeps the game alive. And also, one thing I did perceive is that most playtesters were able to get all achievements reliably in a single run. Okay, all achievement runs were actually quite easy, and this is not something I want to in the game. Mostly because I want the content to last for a long time. You know. Today I gave back the cat that I landed. Yeah, basically there is a cat that lives in my mother's house, but it becomes real sad if they don't see my wife for some reason. The cat is very attached to my wife, but it also is very attached to my mom. So there's that. We have a complicated cat. And we exchange the cat every week. We bring the cat here. It lives here for a while. And then we bring the cat back 1 week later. And now I only have my tiny female cat that likes to destroy things and kill everything. And it is a bloodthirsty creature which likes nothing other than doom and destruction. It is a cute thing. It is a cute little thing. It is. I won't say otherwise. You see, I still haven't nailed that economy yet. You can see that the game is a little bit too hard earlier. That's mostly because I got this many upgrades and no one purple, but that's alright. I didn't change actually the chance of a purple happening. I just changed how good I am in the video game. I'm really bad. Look at this. Yeah, I could have done at least 3 things in order to avoid losing those structures. Like I could build the defenses for it before I built it. Oh yeah, another thing. It isn't quite perceivable, but the building health was increased from 100 to 500. So this building has 160 actual building stuff. Also, the attention grabber that shows up when you take damage, if you take damage to shields, it is, see, totally made too much of a difference over there. Really, did something change? Am I out of my mind? Because that felt like 100 HP, not 500, but maybe I'm just weak. Maybe these enemies are just too strong for me. Maybe mayonnaise. Who knows? Oh no, I didn't mean to do that. Excuse me? Can you give me back this? One questionable strategy if you don't have scan is to build something and then sell that. But my turrets, why am I optimizing for King of the Hill without actually having King of the Hill? Am I insane? Am I out of my mind here? Because I am optimizing for King of the Hill, but I haven't got a single King of the Hill. So I end up optimizing for something I don't have, which is bad. You can see I have a lot of regen and it takes a long time for it to regen. That changes because I am planning on having some more upgrades related to actual base health instead of just rely on shields. You know, if you want to have a nice amount of health, you can. We will introduce a tier 1 upgrade which increases base health by 20% actually. It will not be that much, but it's something. Perhaps even more, because we don't have things leaking into each other here. Oh yeah, the snowflakes, I haven't talked that much about them, but each and every one of them is uniquely generated. There are more snowflakes in the game and possible snowflakes combination that are items in the universe. So they are actually pretty unique. They are as unique as they get. Even though some looks much like the other ones. But well, they are generated as the creature gets slowed. It actually does not impact performances at all, and it was actually cheaper to doing that a way than to actual draw a still image from memory. Weird, right? So it is like this. Oh, finally I got something, but I'm afraid it is too late. Oh yeah, this guy's got a little bit of a change. They now look exactly the same, but the code for them was completely reworked. And that is actually very useful because they used to have 1000 segments. Yes, 1000 segments. And now they only have 100. Oh yeah, and the actual number of segments that they used to have scaled with used to scale with reverse speed with one, and now you can see the big ones are actually beautiful instead of that strange little creature that they once were. They have a fixed length, I do think, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they still look kind of weird when they die because they enter the ground and But I will look into that one day or the other. I want them when they die to simply enter the ground and never come back. Oh no, I'm starting to, as the playtesters say, get hungry. I'm starting to endure the hunger and starvation. Yeah, one other thing I realized over there. When a building was destroyed, its projectiles vanished in the air. I don't know if I will keep with that. Yeah, I know it is quite minor and it will not change anyone's lives. But I would prefer my projectiles to not vanish mid the air, you know? I do think every one of you would prefer if your projectiles would not vanish mid-air. That could be the change between actually... Oh yeah, and since the last update I also implemented status resistance. Oh, and I changed knockback a little bit to actually be affected by that new mechanic. It is simpler than the older knockback mechanic, and it also fits for cryogenic technology. What it is the following. If you deal less than 10% of the creature damage in one single hit, your hit will have less probability of proccing something. Get it? Like instead, if you take 10 hits to it has some negative implications, but it is mostly interesting because very strong creatures, when you have too much slow, are now no longer being slowed that easily. And I'll go with a second match here. Did you see that I didn't see any lag in the last thing? Yes. And it only gets better from now on. Because I have implemented some lag features, and since the economy has changed a little bit, the number of enemies in the screen has been reduced, and that is something interesting to... Whoa, the first... Okay, it was more options, but still more options is a very good upgrade to have as a first one. It could be Clone Factory. Finally, King of the Hill. I love King of the Hill, dude. Really. Oh yeah, it takes a little bit of time to process because every turret have to check the chances for other turrets when they update. But yeah, but they only update once in a while, and even then it isn't that much. And god, this upgrade is so interesting. Like, it enables so many strategies because, well, you don't have to place turrets one by the other. They are actually the sole reason why I only put one turret in this. Like, I love King of the Hill, really. It was good design after all. Really rare coming from me, but it happens from time to time. The icons are... I do think the icons are good enough, you know. I don't think I will actually... Oh yeah, there is currently a bug with Resonance that they are counting the barrier itself to resonate. So the first stack of resonance is just a free 100% extra barrier. I don't know if I will keep that because it is interesting and it increases the value of the first stack of resonance by quite a lot, and it doesn't have many downsides. But I don't know. You know, that word order there, I would have to remove it if I would keep it that way. That's basically because sometime in the past I changed the code of resonance to improve it a little bit. Basically, my objective with the game is to make 1 turret that isn't that does not have any enemy within range, and one barrier that is not getting damaged, I want them to not lag the game at all. I want them to have no computer costs. That way your base can be as big as you want to. Get it? Because that way only the active parts of your base are actually doing processing. Yeah, I know that is a little bit of of big goal, but if I manage to do that, and I'm trying, like the turrets only do processing 3 times a second when they are not doing anything currently, and in a perfect world that would be 0 times a second. Okay, when they are idle, no processing power will be spent with them. Yeah. And there are some processing that will still be done, like regening them, but that's really tiny compared to checking every enemy in the screen. You know, that is heavy. Something while I was bringing my cat back to my mother's house, I actually thought of a way of improving turrets even more. Oh yeah, the new description of high density spheres. Yeah, you can see there that my attention span is the same of a goldfish. And I don't even know what is the attention span of a goldfish. Anyway, this thing here, now they have a linear chance, okay, but it is affected by Sidus resistance. It was overall a buff if you deal more than it was actually, coming to think of it, it was overall a nerf actually, because before if you dealt 30% of the creature's damage would have 30% of chance. Okay, now it is capped basically. Yeah, that was a nerf kinda, but still it is now easier to compute, and now it has something weird going on, because they won't knock back. I will have to put that in the description as well. They won't knock back some creature if the creature is at the limit of the range of the turret. Why? Mostly so the turret does not knock a creature out of its own range. Why is that so? Because I have some ideas about. First of all, I had a problem in a certain run where I have, I don't know, 20 stacks of slow, and I had like too many stacks of high density spheres. Okay, I have way too many stacks of slow and knockback. Cool, cool, very cool indeed. But once I actually, how can I say it? Basically, there were around 500 enemies that were just outside the range of my turret. That as soon as they touched my range of the turrets, they were just knocked back out of it. You know, and my turrets were idle all the time. But there was like too many enemies, and the enemies themselves were actually starting to lag the game, because they would take so long to get to the turret back, and as soon as they take 1 or 2 hits and go back to outside the range. Now if the creature would be basically how we do this, 80% of the range is the range where the turret can actually knock back. So the turret will knock back creatures out of its range less often. It still happens at low range, But as soon as you actually start lagging the game with more range and more stuff, the creatures will. And also there is another reason, because that reason wasn't actually considered when I implemented, but then I thought it was a good idea afterwards, which is basically I will have a procedure that will be have to be called every time the turret goes to sleep when it does not find a target. Okay, what will we do? It will, when the turret does not find a target, first of all it will sleep for 1 second. 1 second, actually 1/3 of a second, or a specific amount of time. Okay, if they don't find an enemy after sleeping that amount of time, they will enter a state of, what was the name of it? There was a name for this, like they will hibernate basically. And what do they do in this hibernation? When they enter hibernation, they tell every one of these cells that if some enemy enters these cells, they have to wake the turret up. Okay? Cool. They set up a alarm basically. And then they don't tick anymore. At all. Like, don't tick. They stop ticking. They stop doing their things. Get it? And that way I can use hash tables to, for each and every enemy I use one hash table and one only hash table to see if there are turrets sleeping looking for that specific cell. And one catchy thing here, there is not any relation with the number of turrets, the processing it takes for the enemies, only with the number of enemies. But you can have like 1 or 1,000 turrets, the procedure still the same complexity. So turrets will not be able to lag the game no matter how many you have. As the turrets are firing, they aren't actually that laggy intensive. They only have to actually find a target when they actually wanna shoot. Okay, if they are constantly shooting like this, it only looks for targets once per bullet. Okay, and I'll also change a little bit how they find the targets, but I'll talk about you later about that, because mostly I want this game to be stupidly scalable. Like, just be retarded. Oh man, no, retarded is not a good word for this. Yeah, retarded is not a word for it. I'm trying to polish myself about ableism and other things, but it is hard, you know. Basically, I want a ridiculous amount of creatures, of turrets in the game. And yeah, that's basically that. I want to have, I don't know, 5,000 creatures? More? 5,000 turrets? I don't want my game to lag with 5,000 creatures and 5,000 turrets. What do you think I am? A person that has to complain about less than 5,000 creatures and 5,000 turrets? You know? I have to actually deal with them and not simply tell, oh no, just tell my game not to spawn that. No. That's you can see the lag is fairly reduced, even though I have a very big base. Not that big actually. I want more. little bit more, a little bit of excess. See? I want the base to be as big as it can. Okay, I'm being a little bit greedy with my goals here, but there's the whole point of goals, to be greedy, you know? The whole point of setting goals is to be as greedy as you can, because if you dream small, dude, you will actually be less disappointed than I am when you are, will not, that I will be, because you will not have such high expectations of yourself. See, will you waste this opportunity of get disappointed with yourself when you don't achieve the ridiculous goals that you have set for yourself? The impossible goals that you have set for yourself? No, you would totally lose this opportunity. But still, I want it. And I will strive towards that. Even though possibly it will not be possible. It is possible that it will not be possible. Okay, that is weird. But hash tables are something that actually help me a lot here, because they reduce complexity too much. And if I manage to put all the turrets in the hash table, and I'm probably pronouncing hash table wrong, I don't know. I'm just closing this because of reasons. I don't want, when this thing dies, I don't want this thing to perish as well. And my base is actually looking pretty lit. Pretty lit indeed. Oh yeah, and I'm drinking ridiculous amount of water while I'm doing this. Why? Well, stay hydrated. That is the reason. And I'm starting to face the actual hunger I was mentioning earlier, when I'm resource starving and the creatures are knocking on my door trying to kick me out of here because yeah, I do think the difficulty curve is a little bit too steep right now. I'll try to do something about that, but I have at least 3 basic upgrades for tomorrow. I don't know if I'll actually be able to implement all of them, but honestly, what takes most time actually is drawing the icon. I'm no artist, so they take a long time for me, because how do I do this? For instance, the snowflake for cryogenic technology. I have to write code that actually paints that for me, because I am, well, because I am fairly inexperienced when it comes to art. But I have some experience when it comes to computer graphics and stuff. So if I can write code to do my stuff, it takes longer. Yes, it takes much longer. But I do think the result is good, you know, the game... the result is most likely I will actually be able to put code into the game to generate the image instead of actually generating them, instead of actually putting the image into the game files. And that reduces the lag, the game weight quite a lot, actually. If you remove all of the DLLs that you have to have in order to run the game, like Lua.dll or Love.dll, if you remove them from the game is only two was it 2 megabytes? Yeah, I do think it was only 2 megabytes. Let me check here real quick. I will check here just so I know what I'm talking about. I don't remember. Yeah, 1953 kilobytes. If you do not think about the DLLs and the licenses and stuff. So the game waits almost too little, you know. 2 megabytes. What was the actual size of Pokemon? I remember it was on the kilobytes. Let me see. Pokemon Yellow size, ROM size, 1 megabyte. So Pokemon Yellow had 1 megabyte, and I already have 2 megabytes, which doesn't mean that much. It is just because I put so many images within it. If you disconsider the images of the game, let me just check the non-images, how much of the images they actually take up in the... So the game folder itself, the game source code folder itself, weighs, yeah, 2 megabytes. Let me just see the assets of the game. I'm just telling this to you guys because I think it's cool, you know. The assets of the game. It has 1.5 megabytes. So the game itself is just half a megabyte. The assets are a little bit heavier, but they could fit, I do think, in a very small... The good thing is, when it releases for Steam, when it actually releases for Steam, I mean, you will download this game in a heartbeat, you know. Most internet connections today downloads that in less than a minute. Some in less than a second. Most in less than a second. I don't know about your internet, guys. I didn't do this research, but yeah, downloading this game would be literally a click and play, which is something. Anyway, I think I'll leave you guys today, and do you think I'll see you guys tomorrow? So, goodbye.